Welcome back to another story on Infidelity Tales Lab. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Mask of Mediocrity. Leo Jensen adjusted his security uniform and checked his watch. Another 12-hour shift at the gates of Riverside Industrial Complex. To anyone watching, he was just another middle-aged man grinding through life, invisible and unremarkable. The other guard called him Old Leo, the guy who kept to himself and never caused trouble. But Leo Jensen was far from ordinary. 23 years ago, he'd been Captain Leo Jensen of the Army's most classified Special Operations Unit. His unit didn't exist on paper, and their missions were buried so deep that even military historians would never find them. When the government needed someone eliminated without a trace, when they needed intelligence extracted from impossible situations, when they needed a ghost who could walk through enemy territory and emerge without a fingerprint left behind, they called Leo's team. The transition to civilian life had been Leo's choice, or so he'd told himself. After Monica Browning had gotten pregnant with Emma, he'd requested reassignment to a desk job, then eventually separation. He wanted to be a father, a husband. He wanted normal. Monica had been a nurse at the military hospital where Leo had been treated after a mission in Eastern Europe went sideways. She was beautiful, caring, and everything he thought he wanted after years of violence and shadows. They'd married quickly, and Emma had arrived 8 months later. For 22 years, Leo had played the role perfectly. The devoted husband who worked security jobs to support his family. The father who attended every school play and soccer game. The man who bit his tongue when Monica made cutting remarks about his lack of ambition in front of her friends. He'd watched his daughter grow into a reflection of her mother, beautiful, entitled, and increasingly contemptuous of the man who'd sacrificed everything for them. Emma had joined the military herself, but as an officer through college ROTC, not through the enlisted ranks like her father had originally. She made sure everyone knew the difference. Leo's phone buzzed. A text from Monica. Emma's engagement party is next week. Try to look presentable for once. Gordon will be there. Gordon Martinez, Monica's friend from the hospital where she now worked as head of nursing. Leo had known about Gordon for 8 months now. Had known about the afternoon meetings at the Riverside Motel. Had known about the late-night phone calls Monica thought he couldn't hear. Had known about the way Gordon looked at his wife like she was already his. But Leo had also known things that Monica and Gordon couldn't imagine. He'd known that patience was a weapon. He'd known that the best revenge was served when the target had the most to lose. He'd known that sometimes you had to let people think they were winning before you destroyed them completely. As Leo settled into his security booth, he opened his laptop and began typing an encrypted message to a contact he hadn't spoken to in 15 years. The message was simple. The shepherd needs his flock. Are you available for consultation? The response came back within an hour. Always ready for the shepherd. What's the target? Leo smiled for the first time in months. The shepherd, that had been his call sign during the Black Ops days. His team had been scattered across the world after their unit was officially disbanded, but the bonds forged in blood and classified missions never truly broke. 2 sheep who need to learn about wolves, he typed back. His phone rang. Monica, Leo, don't forget Emma's dress fitting is tomorrow. And please, for once in your life, try not to embarrass us. Gordon is bringing his son. He's a doctor, you know. Unlike some people who peaked in high school. I'll be there, Leo said quietly. And Leo? Emma specifically asked that you not wear that cheap suit. Maybe just this once you can make an effort? The line went dead. Leo looked at his reflection in the dark window of the security booth. Tomorrow would begin the final act of a marriage that had been over for years. And Emma's wedding would be the perfect stage for the curtain to fall. He pulled up another encrypted channel on his laptop and began typing a different kind of message. This one went to a contact in the intelligence community who owed Leo several life debts. Need a background check on Gordon Martinez, age 47, head of cardiology at Riverside General. Also need surveillance assets, 3-person team minimum. Budget is no object. Some masks were worn to hide weakness. Others were worn to hide predators. After 22 years of being underestimated, Leo Jensen was ready to show his family what they'd been living with all along. Chapter 2. The Perfect Facade. The dress fitting took place at Riverside's most expensive bridal boutique. Leo arrived exactly on time, as he always did, wearing the same blue suit he'd worn to every family function for the past 5 years. He watched through the window as Monica and Emma fussed over silk and lace, their laughter carrying through the glass. Gordon Martinez was already inside, holding court like he owned the place. He was handsome in that practiced way that successful men cultivated, silver at his temples, expensive clothes that fit perfectly, and the kind of confident smile that said he'd never been denied anything he wanted. "Dad," Emma called out as Leo entered. "Come look at this dress. Though I suppose you wouldn't understand the difference between silk and polyester." The boutique staff laughed politely. Gordon chuckled and put his arm around Monica's waist, a gesture that Leo noted was becoming increasingly bold in public. "Actually," Leo said quietly, "I can tell the difference. That's charmeuse silk, probably about 19 mom weight." "Nice choice." Emma blinked in surprise. Monica looked annoyed that Leo had said something informed instead of embarrassing. "How do you—" Emma began. "I pay attention," Leo said simply. Gordon stepped forward, extending his hand. "Gordon Martinez. I don't think we've been properly introduced." Leo shook the man's hand, noting the soft skin of someone who'd never done physical labor, the expensive watch, the way Gordon's eyes never quite met his directly. In Leo's previous life, those were tells that marked someone as either a coward or a predator. Sometimes both. "Leo Jensen, I've heard a lot about you." "All good things, I hope," Gordon said with that practiced smile. "I'm sure they were," Leo replied, which could have meant anything at all. Monica appeared beside them, resplendent in a designer dress that cost more than Leo's monthly salary. "Gordon, you remember how I told you Leo works security? He's a gate guard at the industrial complex." There was that tone again, the one that made sure everyone understood that her husband was beneath them all. Leo had heard it so many times he'd stopped feeling the sting, but he'd never stopped cataloging each instance. "Security work is important," Gordon said with the kind of condescension reserved for children and the mentally impaired. "Someone has to watch the gates, right?" "Someone does," Leo agreed. Emma emerged from the dressing room in her wedding gown, and for a moment, Leo forgot about everything else. She was beautiful, radiant in the way brides were supposed to be. For just an instant, she looked like the little girl who used to fall asleep on his chest while he read her bedtime stories. "Oh, sweetheart," Monica breathed. "You look perfect." "Major Henry is going to lose his mind when he sees you," Gordon added. Emma beamed. "David's picking up his dress uniform today. Can you believe it? I'm going to be a major's wife." "Much better than being married to enlisted," Monica said, shooting a look at Leo. "Officers are a different class of people." Leo said nothing. He'd known plenty of officers during his military career. Some have been excellent leaders. Others have been incompetent cowards who'd hidden behind their rank while better men died following their orders. Rank meant nothing when bullets started flying. But Major David Henry wasn't one of the cowards. Leo had done his research after Emma announced the engagement. Henry had served 2 tours in Afghanistan, had been decorated for valor, and by all accounts was a good man and a good soldier. Leo actually respected his future son-in-law, which made what was coming all the more complicated. "Dad, you're being awfully quiet," Emma said. "Don't you think I look beautiful?" "You look beautiful," Leo said truthfully. "You always do." Something flickered across Emma's face, maybe surprise at the sincerity in his voice. But it was gone quickly, replaced by her usual dismissive expression. "Well, try to remember that when you're standing at the altar," she said. "I don't want you crying or making a scene. This is supposed to be elegant." "I'll remember," Leo said. The boutique owner approached with a tablet, showing Emma pictures of hairstyles. As the women crowded around the screen, Gordon sidled closer to Leo. "You know," Gordon said quietly, "Monica's mentioned that money's been tight for you guys. If you need help with the wedding expenses—" "We're fine," Leo said. "I just want Monica to be happy, you understand? She deserves the best." Leo turned to look at Gordon directly for the first time. "Yes, she does." There was something in Leo's tone that made Gordon take a small step back. For just a second, the cardiologist saw something in the gate guard's eyes that didn't fit the narrative he'd constructed, something that looked almost dangerous. But then Leo looked away, and Gordon convinced himself he'd imagined it. As the afternoon wore on, Leo listened to his family plan a wedding he would pay for, but not be welcomed at. He listened to Gordon offer opinions about flowers and venues, as if he had every right to be involved. He listened to Emma talk about her future while dismissing her past. And he continued to plan. That evening, Leo sat in his car outside the motel, where Monica met Gordon every Tuesday and Thursday. He didn't need to see them together. He had enough evidence to destroy both their careers and reputations. But tonight wasn't about gathering intelligence. Tonight was about understanding his targets completely. Through the window of room 237, he watched his wife of 22 years betray her vows with practiced ease. He watched Gordon treat Monica like a conquest rather than a person. He watched two people who thought they were clever manipulating someone they considered too stupid to notice. They had no idea they were being watched by someone who'd spent years learning to kill without leaving evidence. Leo's phone vibrated. A text from his intelligence contact. Martinez clean on surface. Digging deeper. Surveillance team in position tomorrow. Another text from a different contact. Shepard. Heard you were active again. Need a nest. A nest. Safe house. Untraceable location. The kind of place where people could be taken for quiet conversations away from prying eyes. Not yet, Leo texted back. But soon. As Monica and Gordon finished their business inside the motel room, Leo started his car and drove home. He had a wedding to plan for, and everything had to be perfect. After all, you only got one chance to reveal who you really were. Chapter 3. The Wedding Day Revelation. The wedding took place at Riverside's most prestigious country club on a perfect October afternoon. Leo had paid for everything. The flowers, the catering, the band, the photographer, while listening to Monica and Emma complain about his cheap choices every step of the way. He stood at the altar in his rented tuxedo, watching Emma walk down the aisle on Gordon's arm. Monica had insisted that Gordon give her away, since he's more of a father figure anyway. Leo had agreed without argument, which had surprised everyone. Major David Henry looked magnificent in his dress blues. The young man had tried to talk to Leo several times during the engagement, but Emma and Monica had always interrupted, steering the conversation away from the embarrassing father of the bride. The ceremony proceeded flawlessly. Emma and David exchanged vows that spoke of honor, fidelity, and lifelong commitment. Leo listened to every word, thinking about the irony of his daughter pledging faithfulness while her mother's lover stood where her actual father should have been. During the reception, Leo watched his family celebrate without him. He sat at a table in the back with Monica's elderly relatives, the ones who weren't important enough to sit closer to the head table. Monica held court at the main table with Gordon beside her, both of them glowing with the satisfaction of people who thought they'd gotten away with something. Emma danced with her new husband, then with Gordon, then with a stream of young officers who all looked at Leo with polite dismissal when introductions were made. To them, he was just the gate guard who'd somehow produced this beautiful, accomplished woman. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ announced, it's time for our traditional father-daughter dance. However, I'm told we'll be doing something a little different tonight. The bride has asked her mentor and family friend, Dr. Gordon Martinez, to have this honor instead. The crowd applauded as Gordon led Emma to the dance floor. Leo remained seated, watching his daughter smile up at the man who was sleeping with her mother. Monica beamed from the head table, recording everything with her phone. After the dance, Emma took the microphone for her speech. I want to thank everyone for being here today, she began, radiant in her designer gown. Dave and I are so grateful for all your love and support. I especially want to thank my mother, who taught me that a woman should never settle for less than she deserves. Applause. Monica dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. And I want to thank Gordon Martinez, who's been like a real father to me. He's shown me what a successful man looks like, what a woman should expect from a partner. More applause. Gordon stood and bowed slightly, playing the humble hero. Emma paused, her gaze finding Leo in the back of the room. My biological father is here too, of course. He's just a gate guard. But I suppose everyone has to come from somewhere, right? The room erupted in laughter. Some guests turned to look at Leo with amused pity. Monica smiled and whispered something to Gordon, who chuckled and shook his head. I mean, who would want him? Emma continued, drunk on attention and champagne. He's never accomplished anything. Never been anywhere. Never been anyone important. The laughter grew louder. Leo sat perfectly still, his hands folded in his lap. Let's be honest, Monica called out from the head table, her own voice carrying clearly in the momentary quiet. He's the shame of this family. The room went completely silent for a moment, then exploded in shocked laughter and gasps. Some guests looked uncomfortable with how far the mockery had gone, but most seemed to think it was all in good fun. Major David Henry stood up abruptly, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. That's enough, he said firmly. But Emma was on a roll, feeding off the crowd's energy. Oh, David, it's fine. Everyone knows the truth. My father is nobody special. Actually, Major Henry interrupted, his voice cutting through the laughter like a blade. He's the most decorated soldier I've ever met. The room went quiet again, but this time the silence felt different. Heavier. Emma blinked in confusion. What are you talking about? Major Henry looked directly at Leo, and for the first time all evening, Leo looked back. There was recognition in the young officer's eyes, the kind that passed between warriors who'd walked similar paths. Your father, David said slowly, is Captain Leo Jensen, former commander of Task Force Reaper, Congressional Medal of Honor, Silver Star with 3 clusters, Purple Heart with 2 clusters, citation for extraordinary heroism. The man sitting in the back of this room has killed more enemies of this country than everyone in this room combined. The silence was deafening now. Emma's face had gone pale. Monica looked like she'd been slapped. That's impossible, Gordon said, his voice cracking slightly. He's just a security guard. Task Force Reaper was classified above my clearance level until last month, David continued, his voice growing stronger. I only found out because I was reviewing personnel files for my new assignment. Do you know what Task Force Reaper did? Nobody answered. They were ghosts, deep insertion specialists, the men who went places that didn't exist to eliminate threats that were never supposed to be there. They saved more American lives than anyone will ever know, and they did it without any recognition or glory. David's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the room. Your father, Emma, is a legitimate American hero, and you just humiliated him in front of everyone who matters to you. Emma's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. Monica's face had gone white. Gordon looked like he was going to be sick. Leo stood up slowly from his table in the back. Every eye in the room was on him now, but the expression on his face was completely different from what it had been all evening. The mask of the harmless gate guard was gone. In its place was something that made several of the other military officers in the room instinctively straighten their postures. Emma, Leo said quietly, his voice carrying clearly in the silence. Monica, his wife and daughter, both looked at him with expressions of dawning horror. You're right about one thing, Leo continued. I'm nobody special. I'm just a man who spent the last 22 years watching his family grow to hate him for being exactly what they asked him to be. He started walking toward the head table, and people moved out of his way without conscious thought. But you're wrong about something else, he said. You think I don't know about you and Gordon, Monica? You think I don't know about the motel, the lies, the way you've been planning to leave me once Emma was settled? Monica gasped. Gordon had gone completely pale. You think I'm weak, Leo continued, his voice never rising above conversational level. You think I'm stupid. You think I'm harmless. He stopped directly in front of the head table, looking at his wife and daughter with eyes that several combat veterans in the room recognized all too well. You have no idea what I am, Leo said, but you're about to find out. Emma fainted. Monica grabbed Gordon's arm like she was drowning. Major David Henry stood at attention and saluted the man he now knew had taught him everything about being a soldier without ever saying a word. And Leo Jensen, the real Leo Jensen, smiled for the first time in 22 years. Chapter 4. The Reckoning Begins. The wedding reception collapsed like a house of cards after Emma fainted. Half the guests fled immediately, unable to process the sudden shift from cruel mockery to the revelation that they'd just witnessed a war hero being humiliated by his own family. The other half lingered, drawn by the kind of morbid fascination that attends car crashes and public executions. Leo knelt beside his unconscious daughter, checking her pulse with the efficient movements of someone trained in battlefield medicine. She was fine, just shock and too much champagne. But when Emma's eyes fluttered open and she saw her father's face inches from hers, she screamed. "Get away from me!" she shrieked, scrambling backward. "You're scaring me." Leo stood slowly, and for the first time in years, he didn't try to make himself smaller or less threatening. The man who emerged from behind the gate guard's facade was someone who'd learned to command through presence rather than volume. "David," Leo said quietly, his eyes never leaving Emma's face. "Take your wife home. This conversation is between adults." Major Henry hesitated, torn between protecting his new bride and following the orders of a superior officer. The military hierarchy was deeply ingrained in him, and everything about Leo's bearing screamed command authority. "Sir, with respect, Emma is my wife now. My responsibility." Leo nodded approvingly. "Good answer." But Emma made her choice tonight. She chose to publicly humiliate the man who paid for this wedding, who walked away from a career most men would kill for, who spent 22 years pretending to be less than he was because his family was ashamed of what he actually was. Emma struggled to her feet, supported by David. "You lied to us. You made us think you were nobody." "I never lied about anything," Leo replied. "I just stopped correcting your assumptions. When you called me a failure, I didn't argue. When you said I was worthless, I didn't defend myself. When you treated me like I was beneath you, I let you." "Why?" Monica whispered, speaking for the first time since the revelation. Leo turned to look at his wife of 22 years. "Because I loved you, both of you, and I thought that if I could just be what you wanted me to be, you might love me back." The pain in his voice was genuine, and for a moment Monica looked like she might cry. Then Gordon stepped protectively beside her, and Leo's expression hardened again. "But you can't love someone you don't respect," Leo continued. "And you can't respect someone you think is weak. So I became weak for you. I became ordinary for you. I became someone you could dismiss and ignore and eventually betray." "Leo," Monica began. "Don't." The single word cut through her attempt at explanation like a blade. "Don't insult me by pretending this is news to you. I've known about Gordon for 8 months. I've known about the motel, the lies, the plans you've been making for after Emma's wedding." Gordon finally found his voice. "Now, wait a minute." Leo looked at him, and whatever Gordon saw in that gaze made him step backward. "Dr. Martinez, we need to talk." "I don't think that's necessary," Gordon said, his voice higher than normal. "I wasn't asking." The words were spoken quietly, but there was something in Leo's tone that made it clear this wasn't a request. Several of the remaining guests had phones out, recording everything. Social media would be buzzing within the hour. "This is my daughter's wedding," Monica said desperately. "Can't we discuss this privately?" "Your daughter's wedding ended when she decided to humiliate her father for the entertainment of strangers," Leo replied. "What happens now is something else entirely." Emma was crying now, clinging to David's arm. "I didn't know. How was I supposed to know?" "You weren't supposed to know what I'd done," Leo said. "You were supposed to know who I was. But you never bothered to find out, did you? Neither of you ever asked me about my past, my dreams, my experiences. You just decided I was boring and worthless and left it at that." The truth of it hit Emma like a physical blow. She realized that she couldn't remember a single conversation with her father about his life before she was born. She'd never asked because she'd never thought there was anything worth knowing. "I want to go home," she whispered. "This is your home now," Leo said, gesturing to David. "With your husband. The man who actually honored you tonight by defending your father when your own family wouldn't." David straightened. "Sir, I'd like to speak with you privately when this is over. There are questions I have." "I like that," Leo said. "You're a good man, David. Take care of my daughter. She's going to need you in the days ahead." "What's that supposed to mean?" Emma demanded. Leo didn't answer. Instead, he turned to address the remaining wedding guests, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption to what should have been a celebration. Those of you who wish to leave should do so now. Those of you who stay will witness something that 22 years of patience has been building toward. Most of the guests fled. Only a handful remained. A few military officers who recognized the steel in Leo's voice, some family members too stunned to move, and Monica's nursing colleagues who'd come to see the loser husband finally get his comeuppance. They were about to see something very different. Leo walked to the bar and poured himself a whiskey. He'd been sober for the entire wedding, playing the responsible father figure while his family mocked him. But that performance was over. "Gordon," he said without turning around, "you and I are going to have a conversation. Monica, you can join us or you can leave. But if you leave now, you don't come back." "You can't threaten me," Monica said, but her voice shook. Leo turned around, and the man facing her was someone she'd never seen before. Not the submissive husband who'd tolerated her contempt for years. Not the quiet father who'd accepted his daughter's dismissal. This was the man who'd earned a Congressional Medal of Honor in places that didn't officially exist. "I'm not threatening you," Leo said calmly. "I'm giving you a choice. The last choice you'll get to make about how this ends." Monica looked at Gordon, who was pale and sweating despite the air conditioning. She looked at Emma, who was crying into David's shoulder. She looked at the remaining guests, who were watching her like she was a specimen under a microscope. And then she looked at her husband, really looked at him for the first time in years, and saw something that made her blood run cold. Leo Jensen was done pretending to be harmless. Chapter 5. The Trap Springs. Monica chose to stay, but not out of loyalty or love. She stayed because something in Leo's voice told her that running would only make things worse. Gordon, however, had no such insight. "I don't have to listen to this," Gordon declared, pulling out his phone. "Monica, we're leaving. This man is clearly unstable." "Put the phone down, Gordon," Leo said without raising his voice. "I'm calling security," Gordon announced, dialing. "And then I'm calling the police. This is harassment, and I won't." The phone went dead in Gordon's hand. Not powered off, completely dead, as if the battery had been instantly drained. Gordon stared at it in confusion, then looked up to see Leo holding a small electronic device. "Signal jammer," Leo explained calmly. "Military grade. Nothing electronic works within a 50-foot radius. No phones, no cameras, no recording devices." Several guests pulled out their phones and discovered the same thing, completely dead. The comfortable assumption that this was just a domestic dispute that they could video and share online evaporated. They were trapped in whatever was about to happen. "That's illegal," Gordon sputtered. "Yes, it is," Leo agreed. "So is adultery in a military community. So is alienation of affection. So is deliberately destroying someone's reputation with false statements." He walked closer to Gordon, who backed up until he hit the wall. "But we're not talking about legality anymore, are we? We're talking about consequences." "Leo, please," Monica said desperately. "Let's just go home and talk about this privately." "We had 22 years to talk privately," Leo replied. "You chose to spend that time with Gordon instead. So now we'll talk publicly." He gestured to the few remaining guests, Emma and David, 3 other military officers, 2 of Monica's nursing colleagues, and the wedding photographer who'd been too stunned to leave. "Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the end of a marriage that should have ended years ago. Monica, would you like to tell everyone when your affair with Gordon started, or should I?" Monica's face went white. We never." 8 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days ago," Leo said matter-of-factly. "Tuesday afternoon at the Riverside Motel. Room 237. You told me you were working a double shift." The precision of his knowledge hit Monica like a slap. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because I followed you, Monica. Because I watched you. Because I documented everything." Leo reached into his jacket and pulled out a tablet. With a few swipes, he projected images onto the wall using a small device that had been hidden in the floral arrangements. The photos were damning. Monica and Gordon entering the motel together, kissing in the parking lot, emerging disheveled hours later. The timestamps showed dozens of meetings over the past 8 months. Emma gasped. "Mom, how could you?" "It's not what it looks like," Monica said desperately. "Really?" Leo said. "Then perhaps Gordon would like to explain what it does look like." Gordon was sweating profusely now. "This is a violation of privacy." "You can't." "I can," Leo said simply. "Because unlike you, I actually understand the law. Private investigator's license, issued under my real name and security clearance. Everything I've done is completely legal." "You're a private investigator?" Emma asked in disbelief. "Among other things," Leo replied. "What did you think I did for 20 years before I became a worthless gate guard?" The pieces were starting to fall into place for Emma. Her father hadn't just been a soldier. He'd been someone who knew how to gather intelligence, how to plan operations, how to eliminate targets. And she was beginning to realize that she and her mother had just been classified as targets. "Gordon," Leo continued, advancing on the terrified cardiologist, "would you like to tell Monica about your wife?" The blood drained from Gordon's face completely. "What wife?" "The wife you're still married to. The wife who lives in Tampa with your 2 children. The wife who thinks you're at a medical conference this weekend." Monica staggered backward like she'd been hit. "What?" "Dr. Gordon Martinez," Leo announced to the room, "is a bigamist. Has been for 3 years. His legal wife, Julia Martinez, filed a missing person report last month when Gordon disappeared for a week. Turns out he was here in Riverside, setting up his new identity." "That's impossible," Monica whispered. Leo swiped the tablet again, and new images appeared on the wall. Gordon's real wedding photos. His wife and children. Public records showing his marriage license, their joint bank accounts, their shared mortgage. "Surprise, Monica. The man you've been planning to leave me for is already married to someone else. Congratulations, you're the other woman twice over." Gordon made a desperate lunge for the exit, but found his way blocked by Major Henry, who had moved to the door with military precision. "I don't think you're leaving just yet," David said coldly. "This is kidnapping." Gordon shouted. "No," Leo said calmly. "This is a private gathering where everyone is free to leave at any time. But if you try to leave, Gordon, I'll have to make some phone calls. One to your wife in Tampa. One to the medical board about your falsified credentials. One to the FBI about the identity fraud. One to the IRS about the 2 sets of tax returns you've been filing." Gordon sank into a chair, defeated. "Ow! How did I find out?" Leo smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "Gordon, I spent 20 years finding people who didn't want to be found and eliminating threats to national security. Did you really think I couldn't figure out one small-time con artist with delusions of grandeur?" Emma was staring at her mother with horror. "You were going to leave Dad for this man? For a criminal?" "I didn't know," Monica cried. "No," Leo said sadly. "You didn't know because you never bothered to find out. Just like you never bothered to find out who I really was. You saw what you wanted to see and made decisions based on fantasies." He turned to address the room again. "Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the educational portion of our evening. What happens next is more personal." The signal jammer went silent, and phones began working again. The guests who remained were free to leave, and most did, quickly and quietly, understanding that they'd witnessed something far beyond a simple domestic dispute. Only Emma, David, Monica, and Gordon remained. "Now," Leo said, pouring himself another whiskey, "let's discuss the future." Chapter 6. The Price of Betrayal. With the other guests gone, the country club's grand ballroom felt cavernous and cold. The wedding decorations that had seemed elegant hours earlier now looked like the remnants of a battlefield, which, Leo reflected, was exactly what they were. Emma sat in stunned silence beside David, still wearing her wedding dress, but looking like she'd aged years in the past hour. Monica huddled in a chair across from Gordon, who was slumped in defeat with his head in his hands. "The way I see it," Leo began, walking slowly around the table like a predator circling wounded prey, "we have several problems to solve tonight." He stopped behind Gordon's chair. "First, we have a bigamist who's committed multiple felonies in the pursuit of seducing another man's wife." Gordon flinched but didn't look up. "Second, we have a woman who spent 22 years of marriage building her exit strategy while destroying her husband's relationship with his daughter." Monica's face crumpled. Leo, I never meant. And third, Leo continued, moving to stand behind Emma's chair. We have a daughter who just discovered that everything she thought she knew about her family was a lie. David spoke for the first time since the revelation. Sir, with respect, Emma was raised with the information she had. She couldn't have known what she wasn't told. Leo nodded approvingly. Spoken like a true officer. Protect your people, even when they're wrong. I respect that, David. He returned to the center of the room. But the question remains, what do we do now? Do we all pretend this never happened? Do we go back to our comfortable lies and wait for the next betrayal? What do you want, Leo? Monica asked quietly. What do I want? Leo laughed, but there was no humor in it. 22 years ago, I wanted a family. I wanted someone to come home to who would be proud of what I'd accomplished instead of ashamed of what I'd sacrificed. I wanted a daughter who would know that her father was a man worth respecting. He pulled out his phone, no longer jammed, and scrolled through a series of text messages. But what I want now is justice. What kind of justice? Gordon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Leo smiled, and it was the most frightening expression anyone in the room had ever seen. The kind that fits the crime. He read from his phone. Message from Julia Martinez, Gordon's actual wife. She's been tracking you through credit card receipts. She knows about the fake medical conference. She knows about the Riverside Motel. And she's driving here tonight with her divorce attorney and a very angry FBI agent who happens to be her brother. Gordon's head snapped up. That's impossible. How would she know? Because I told her, Leo said simply. About an hour ago, right after I sent copies of all your financial records to the medical board and the IRS. You bastard, Gordon snarled, jumping to his feet. The change in Leo was instantaneous. The mild-mannered gate guard vanished completely, replaced by something that made Gordon freeze mid-step. Leo didn't move, didn't raise his voice, didn't make any threatening gesture. But suddenly the air in the room felt dangerous. Sit down, Leo said quietly. Gordon sat. Monica, Leo continued, his voice returning to conversational tones. I've also taken the liberty of informing your nursing supervisor about your extended lunch breaks and suspicious scheduling patterns. Apparently, having an affair on hospital time is grounds for dismissal. Monica gasped. You didn't. My career. Your career is the least of your problems, Leo interrupted. I've also filed for divorce. Papers were served to your sister this afternoon, along with copies of all the evidence. The story will be all over Riverside by tomorrow morning. Dad, Emma said shakily, this is going too far. Leo turned to look at his daughter, and for a moment his expression softened. Is it Emma? Is destroying the people who betrayed me going too far? Tell me, what would be appropriate justice for 22 years of humiliation? Emma had no answer. Here's what's going to happen, Leo announced. Gordon, you're going to walk out that door and drive straight to the police station, where you're going to confess to bigamy, identity fraud, and tax evasion. If you cooperate fully, I'll make sure Julia knows you came clean voluntarily. And if I don't, Gordon asked, then the FBI will arrest you at the airport when you try to run, Leo said matter-of-factly. I've already flagged your passport. There's nowhere you can go that I can't find you. Gordon stared at him in horror. Who are you? I'm the man whose life you tried to steal, Leo replied. The man whose wife you seduced with lies and false promises. The man whose family you helped destroy. He turned to Monica. You have a choice. You can contest the divorce and spend the next 2 years having every detail of your affair broadcast in court proceedings, or you can sign the papers quietly and disappear with whatever dignity you have left. Where am I supposed to go? Monica whispered. Anywhere but here, Leo said coldly. You burned this bridge tonight, Monica. There's no going back. Emma finally found her voice. And what about me? What about your daughter? Leo's expression grew infinitely sad. What about you, Emma? You made it clear tonight that you're ashamed of me, that you think I'm worthless, that you wish Gordon was your father instead of me. I didn't mean. Yes, you did, Leo interrupted gently. And that's your right. You're an adult, a married woman, an officer in the United States Army. You don't need a father you're embarrassed by. Tears streamed down Emma's face. I'm sorry. I didn't know. If I had known. If you had known what? That I was worth respecting? That I had accomplished things? That I had sacrificed everything I was for your happiness? Leo shook his head. Emma, I didn't need you to know what I'd done. I needed you to love me for who I was. And you couldn't do that. David stood up suddenly. Sir, with all due respect, Emma is my wife now. Whatever happens between you and her mother, she shouldn't be punished for mistakes she made based on incomplete information. Leo studied the young officer for a long moment. What are you suggesting, Major? I'm suggesting that Emma deserves a chance to know her real father, to build a relationship based on truth instead of assumptions. And if she doesn't want that chance, David looked at Emma, who was crying silently. Then that's her loss. But she should have the opportunity to choose. Leo nodded slowly. Very well. Emma, you have a choice. You can come with Monica and Gordon into whatever exile they've chosen for themselves. Or you can stay and learn who your father really is. Emma looked at her mother, then at Gordon, then at her new husband. Finally, she looked at Leo with eyes that saw him clearly for the first time in years. I choose you, she whispered. I choose my real father. For the first time all evening, Leo's smile was genuine. Then we'll start over. All of us. But first, he turned back to Gordon and Monica. You have 10 minutes to leave this building before Julia Martinez arrives with the FBI. I suggest you use that time wisely. As Gordon and Monica fled into the night, Leo looked around the ruined wedding reception and felt something he hadn't experienced in 22 years. Peace. Chapter 7. The Hunter Emerges. 3 days after the wedding disaster, Leo sat in his security booth at the industrial complex, but he wasn't watching the gates. He was monitoring multiple computer screens showing surveillance feeds from across Riverside. His simple gate guard persona had been the perfect cover for activities that required anonymity and access to overlooked locations. His phone buzzed. A text from David. Sir, we need to talk. Something's wrong with Emma. Leo had been expecting this call. The psychological aftermath of having your entire worldview shattered didn't resolve itself in 3 days. He'd seen it in soldiers who discovered their commanders had been lying to them, in civilians who learned their governments had betrayed them. Where? Leo texted back. Our apartment. Emma won't leave the bedroom. Leo closed down his monitors and locked the security booth. His replacement wouldn't arrive for 6 hours, but that was someone else's problem now. He'd already submitted his resignation, effective immediately. 20 minutes later, Leo stood outside David and Emma's apartment. When David opened the door, Leo was struck by how much the young officer had aged in just 3 days. The confident soldier who'd stood up at the wedding reception looked exhausted and defeated. She won't eat, David said without preamble. Won't talk. Just stares at the wall and cries. I don't know how to help her. Leo nodded. Post-traumatic stress. She's processing the collapse of everything she thought was real. Where is she? Bedroom. She won't see anyone. I've tried calling in sick for her, but she's supposed to report to her new assignment next week. Leo walked through the apartment, noting the wedding gifts still in boxes, the flowers already wilting. It looked like a life interrupted, which was exactly what it was. He knocked on the bedroom door. Emma, it's your father. Go away, came the muffled reply. I'm coming in. Leo opened the door to find Emma curled up on the bed in pajamas, surrounded by tissues, and looking like she hadn't slept since the wedding. She looked up at him with red, swollen eyes. I ruined everything, she whispered. Leo sat on the edge of the bed, and for the first time in years, Emma didn't flinch away from him. No, you didn't. You made mistakes based on information you were given by people you trusted. I humiliated you in front of everyone. I called you worthless. I said nobody would want you. Yes, you did. Emma flinched at his blunt confirmation. How can you forgive me? Because you're my daughter, Leo said simply. And because I understand how it happened. Your mother spent 22 years teaching you that I was a failure, that I was something to be ashamed of. You believed what you were told by the person who was supposed to protect you. But I should have known better. I should have asked. I should have. Should have what? Interrogated your own mother about whether she was lying to you about your father. Leo shook his head. Emma, you were a child when this started. Children believe what their parents tell them. And then you became an adult, and the patterns were already set. Emma sat up slowly. Tell me about Task Force Reaper. Leo was quiet for a long moment. Most of it is still classified. What I can tell you is that we went places where American soldiers weren't supposed to be and did things that never officially happened. Did you kill people? Yes. A lot of people. Enough. Emma studied her father's face. Do you regret it? I regret the necessity of it, Leo said carefully. But no, I don't regret protecting my country and my fellow soldiers. I don't regret stopping people who would have killed innocent Americans if they'd been allowed to succeed. Why did you leave? Why didn't you stay in the military? Leo smiled sadly. Because your mother was pregnant, and I wanted to be a father more than I wanted to be a soldier. I thought I could have both, but the military doesn't work that way. Not for special operations. So you gave it all up. For us. For the family I thought we could be. Emma was crying again, but this time it wasn't from self-pity. I wasted it. I wasted your sacrifice. I threw it away because I was ashamed of you. No, Leo said firmly. You didn't waste anything. You became an officer. You married a good man. You built a life. The fact that you didn't appreciate where you came from doesn't diminish what you accomplished. But I hurt you. For years, I hurt you. Leo reached out and took his daughter's hand. Emma, do you want to know the truth? It did hurt. Every dismissive comment, every eye roll, every time you acted embarrassed to be my daughter, it cut deep. But it never made me stop loving you. Ow! Because love isn't conditional on being appreciated. Love is choosing to care about someone even when they don't care about you back. Emma squeezed his hand. I want to know you. The real you. I want to understand who my father actually is. That's going to take time, and it's going to be difficult. The man I really am isn't the gentle, harmless person you grew up with. I'm harder than that. More dangerous than that. Show me, Emma said. Leo studied her face. Are you sure? Once you see who I really am, you can't unsee it. I'm sure. Leo stood up. Get dressed. Combat fatigues if you have them. We're going to the range. An hour later, Leo and Emma stood at a private shooting range 30 miles outside Riverside. Leo had changed out of his security uniform and into black tactical gear that made him look like a completely different person. Emma watched in amazement as her father assembled a sniper rifle with the fluid efficiency of someone who'd done it thousands of times. His hands moved without conscious thought, muscle memory guiding each motion. Remington 700, Leo said as he worked. Modified for long-range precision. Not military issue, but close enough. How far can you shoot with that? Accurately? About 1,000 yards in good conditions. Emma swallowed hard. Have you ever with people? Yes. Leo finished assembling the rifle and handed Emma a smaller weapon, a standard military sidearm. Let's see what you remember from officer training. For the next 2 hours, Leo put Emma through shooting drills that pushed her skills far beyond anything she'd learned in the military. He moved like liquid violence, transitioning between positions and weapons with deadly grace. Again, he said after Emma missed a difficult shot. Feel the trigger brake. Don't jerk it, caress it. Emma tried again and hit the target dead center. Better. Again. By the end of the session, Emma was shooting at a level that would have impressed her military instructors. But more importantly, she was beginning to understand what her father was. This is what you did? She asked as they packed up the weapons. You were a sniper? Among other things. Sniper, infiltration specialist, close quarters combat expert, intelligence operative. I was trained to be a complete weapon. Emma looked at her father with new eyes. And you gave all this up to work security jobs? I gave it up to be your father, Leo corrected. But Emma, you need to understand something. I never stopped being what I was trained to be. I just put that part of myself away. Until now. Until now. As they drove back toward town, Emma was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. What happened to Mom and Gordon? Gordon turned himself in to the FBI yesterday. He's looking at federal charges for bigamy and fraud. His real wife filed for divorce and is seeking full custody of their children. And Mom, Monica moved in with her sister in Phoenix. She signed the divorce papers without contesting them. Emma nodded. Do you think there's any chance you might forgive her someday? Leo was quiet for a moment. Emma, your mother didn't just betray our marriage. She spent 22 years systematically destroying my relationship with you. She taught you to be ashamed of me, to see me as worthless, to wish I was someone else. But if she apologized, Some things can't be apologized away, Leo said firmly. Some betrayals cut too deep. Some damage is permanent. Emma absorbed this. And me? Can you forgive me? Leo reached over and squeezed her hand. You don't need my forgiveness, Emma. You need to forgive yourself. And then you need to decide who you want to be moving forward. I want to be your daughter, Emma said quietly. Your real daughter, not the version Mom created. Then that's who you'll be. As they pulled into David and Emma's apartment complex, Leo's phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he hadn't seen in 15 years. Shepard, said a voice from his past. We have a problem. Leo's expression hardened. What kind of problem? The kind that requires old skills. Can you talk? Leo looked at Emma, who was watching him with curious eyes. I'll call you back in 10 minutes. After he hung up, Emma asked, Is everything okay? I don't know yet, Leo replied. But Emma, you wanted to know who your father really is. You might be about to find out more than you bargained for. Chapter 8. Ghost from the Past. Leo called back his former teammate from the parking lot of Emma's apartment building. The voice that answered belonged to Carrie Graves, who'd been Task Force Reaper's communications specialist and Leo's closest friend during their operational years. Carrie, it's been a long time, Leo said. Not long enough, Shepard. Listen, we have a situation. 3 of our old team members are dead. Leo felt ice form in his stomach. Ow! Professional hits. Made it look like accidents, but I know the signatures. Someone's hunting us, Leo. Someone who knows our real identities. Who else is left? You, me, Dave Atkins, and Lance Sweeney. That's it out of the original 8-man team. Leo did the math quickly. Half their unit was dead, killed by someone who knew intimate details about classified operations that were supposed to be buried forever. Where are you now? Leo asked. Safe house in Montana. Dave and Lance are here with me. We need to meet, Leo. Whoever's doing this won't stop until we're all dead. Why now? It's been 15 years since the unit was disbanded. That's what we need to figure out. Can you get here? Leo looked up at the apartment building where his daughter was trying to rebuild her life with her new husband. It's complicated. I have family now. I know about the wedding, Carrie said. Saw the video online. Congratulations on finally taking the mask off. You saw that. Half the internet saw it. War hero reveals truth at daughter's wedding has been trending for 3 days, which might be why someone's targeting us now. The implications hit Leo like a sledgehammer. By revealing his true identity publicly, he might have exposed not just himself, but his entire former unit to whoever was hunting them. Shit, Leo muttered. Yeah, can you get here or not? Leo looked up at the apartment again, then made his decision. Give me the address. I'll be there tomorrow. Leo, come armed. And watch your back. Whoever this is, they're good. After hanging up, Leo sat in his car for a long moment, weighing his options. He could ignore Carrie's call, stay in Riverside, and hope that whoever was hunting his former teammates wouldn't find him. But that would mean living in hiding again, and he was done with hiding. More importantly, it would mean putting Emma and David in danger if the hunters did find him. Leo went back upstairs to find Emma and David waiting for him in the living room. They could tell from his expression that something serious was happening. I have to go away for a while, Leo said without preamble. How long? Emma asked. I don't know. Could be a few days, could be longer. David leaned forward. Sir, is this military business? Leo considered how much to tell them. Former military business. Some people I used to work with are in trouble. They need my help. What kind of trouble? Emma pressed. The kind where people end up dead. Emma and David exchanged glances. Dad, that sounds dangerous. It is dangerous, Leo admitted. Which is why I need you both to be very careful while I'm gone. Don't go anywhere alone. Don't trust strangers. If anything feels wrong, call me immediately. You think we might be in danger? David asked. I think I might have made us all targets when I revealed who I really was at the wedding, Leo said honestly. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I need to find out for sure. Emma stood up suddenly. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Dad, I'm a military officer. I'm trained for this. You're trained for conventional military operations, Leo corrected. This is something else entirely. This is the kind of work that doesn't appear in any manual or training program. Then teach me, Emma said stubbornly. Leo looked at his daughter, really looked at her. 3 days ago, she'd been a spoiled young woman who thought her father was worthless. Now she was volunteering to walk into danger to help him. The transformation was remarkable. Emma, you're not ready for this. And I won't risk losing you after I just got you back. And I won't risk losing you after I just found out who you really are. Emma shot back. David cleared his throat. Sir, if I may suggest a compromise, what if Emma and I relocated temporarily while you handle this situation? Somewhere secure, out of the way, but where we could provide backup if needed. Leo considered this. It would get them out of immediate danger while keeping them close enough to help if things went badly. There's a safe house about 50 miles from where I need to go, he said finally. Military-grade security, completely off the grid. You could stay there while I deal with this. And if you need us? Emma asked. I'll call. Within hours, Leo had made arrangements for Emma and David to be transported to a secure facility in Montana while he drove separately to meet with his surviving teammates. As he packed his gear, weapons and equipment he hadn't touched in years, Leo felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that came with preparing for combat. The gate guard was gone forever. The man who emerged from that chrysalis was someone far more dangerous. Leo's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We know who you are now, Shepard. We know where you live. We know about your family. Come alone, or they die too. Leo stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back. Who is this? The response came immediately. Someone you should have killed when you had a chance. Leo's blood ran cold. The message could only mean one thing. Someone from his past operations had survived. Someone who'd spent years planning revenge against the team that had destroyed their organization. He quickly called Carrie back. Change of plans. I'm being hunted too. Someone just threatened my family. Jesus, Leo. Any idea who? Someone we left alive who shouldn't have been left alive. That's a long list. Yeah, but whoever it is, they just made a mistake. What mistake? Leo checked his weapons one final time, his voice dropping to the deadly calm tone that his enemies had learned to fear. They threatened my daughter. Chapter 9. The Shepherd's Return. The Montana safe house was a fortress disguised as a hunting lodge, built into the side of a mountain with sight lines for miles in every direction. Leo arrived after a 15-hour drive to find Carrie Graves, Dave Atkins, and Lance Sweeney waiting for him with enough weapons to equip a small army. Shepard, Carrie said, embracing his former commander. Good to see you, even under these circumstances. Leo looked around at his surviving teammates. They'd all changed in the 15 years since Task Force Reaper disbanded, but the essential core of each man remained. These were people he'd trusted with his life in the world's most dangerous places. Bring me up to speed, Leo said. Dave Atkins, their former explosives expert, pulled out a tablet showing surveillance footage. Marcus Webb, killed in a car accident in Denver 3 weeks ago. Brake lines cut, but the local police wrote it off as mechanical failure. Owen Compton, heart attack in his sleep in Chicago 2 weeks ago, Lance added. Except the coroner found microscopic puncture wounds consistent with poison injection. And Kirk Bruce, hiking accident in Colorado last week, Carrie finished. Fell off a cliff that he'd climbed dozens of times before. No witnesses, no explanation. Leo studied the photos of his dead teammates. Professional work. Whoever's doing this knows our capabilities and our weaknesses. There's more, Carrie said grimly. Each of them received the same message before they died. Same as the one you got about your family. Someone we should have killed when we had the chance, Leo repeated. Any ideas? Too many, Dave said. We took down a lot of organizations over the years. Could be anyone who survived and held a grudge. Leo's phone rang. Emma. Dad. We're secure at the location you sent us to. But David's been analyzing the threat message you received. He thinks he recognizes the phrasing. Put him on speaker. David's voice came through clearly. Sir, the phrase when you had the chance is specific military terminology. It suggests someone with formal training, possibly special operations background. That doesn't narrow it down much, Lance said. Actually, it does, Leo said slowly. How many operations did we conduct where we had targets we chose not to eliminate? The room went quiet as the four men thought back through their classified missions. The Bratva operation in Romania, Carrie said finally. We were ordered to extract the arms dealer, not kill him. In the cartel infiltration in Colombia, Dave added, we could have eliminated their leadership, but intelligence wanted them alive for interrogation. But the one that always bothered me, Lance said quietly, was Budapest. Leo's face hardened. Alejandro Thomas. The name hung in the air like a curse. Alejandro Thomas had been a rogue CIA operative selling classified information to the highest bidders. Task Force Reaper had been sent to eliminate him. But when they'd cornered Thomas in a Budapest safe house, they discovered he had hostages, 3 American aid workers. Leo had made the tactical decision to let Thomas escape rather than risk civilian casualties. It had been the right moral choice, but it had haunted him for years. Thomas had access to classified personnel files, Carrie said. He could have identified all of us. And he had the training to plan and execute assassinations, Dave added. Leo's phone buzzed with another text. Remember Budapest? Shepard? Remember the choice you made? Now you get to make another one. Come to the place where it all began, where your daughter learns what it feels like to fall from a great height. That's him, Leo said grimly. Thomas is in Budapest, and he has surveillance on Emma. How is that possible? Carrie asked. She's in a secure facility. Leo was already moving toward his gear. Because Thomas was CIA, he knows about our safe houses. He's been planning this for 15 years. So what's the play? Lance asked. You 3 stay here and coordinate with the security team protecting Emma and David. I'm going to Budapest. The hell you are, Carrie said. We go together or not at all. This is my family he's threatening. And we're your team, Dave said firmly. Task Force Reaper doesn't leave anyone behind. Leo looked at his 3 surviving teammates and felt a surge of gratitude that he hadn't experienced in years. These men were willing to walk back into hell with him, just like old times. All right, he said, but we do this right. No cowboy shit, no unnecessary risks. We go in fast, clean, and quiet. Thomas dies, and we all come home. Just like Budapest, Carrie said, except this time we finish the job. Just like Budapest, Leo agreed. Except this time I don't choose mercy. 12 hours later, Task Force Reaper was wheels up on a private jet bound for Hungary. Leo stared out the window as they crossed the Atlantic, thinking about the young CIA operative he'd spared 15 years ago and the monster that mercy had created. Some mistakes took decades to correct. But Leo Jensen, the real Leo Jensen, the shepherd, the man who'd earned a Congressional Medal of Honor in places that didn't officially exist, was finally going to set things right. The gate guard was dead. The ghost was returning to finish what he'd started. And this time, there would be no mercy for anyone who threatened his family. As the plane banked toward European airspace, Leo checked his weapons one final time and smiled. Alejandro Thomas thought he was hunting a man who'd grown soft in civilian life. He was about to discover that some predators never lost their edge. They just learned to hide it better. Epilogue. New beginnings. 6 months later, Leo Jensen stood in the kitchen of his new house, a modest 2-story home with excellent sight lines and multiple exit routes, chosen with the tactical awareness that would never fully leave him. The official report stated that Alejandro Thomas had died in a gas explosion at his Budapest safe house, along with 3 unidentified associates. There was no mention of Task Force Reaper. Emma knocked on the door and entered without waiting for permission, a habit she developed since Leo had returned from Europe. She wore civilian clothes now. She'd resigned her commission to take a position with a private security firm that specialized in protecting corporate executives with government contracts. "Morning, Dad," she said, kissing his cheek as she poured herself coffee. "David's running late. He had an early briefing at the base." "How's married life treating you?" Leo asked. "Better now that I'm not ashamed of my father," Emma replied with a smile. "David says he's learned more about real tactics from our weekend training sessions than he did in 4 years of officer training." Leo nodded approvingly. Over the past 6 months, he'd been teaching Emma and David skills that weren't covered in any military manual. They'd both proven to be excellent students. "Speaking of training," Emma said, Carrie called. "He wants to know if you're interested in that consulting contract." After Budapest, Leo's former teammates had started a private military consulting firm. They offered services to governments and corporations that needed problems solved quietly and efficiently. It was lucrative work, though not always legal. "I'm considering it," Leo said, "but only on a part-time basis. I want to be available for my family." Emma smiled. "Your real family. My real family." The divorce for Monica had been finalized 3 months earlier. She'd taken nothing except her personal belongings and had disappeared into her new life in Phoenix. Leo had heard through mutual acquaintances that she was working at a small clinic and living alone in a studio apartment. He felt no satisfaction in her downfall, but he felt no sympathy either. Gordon Martinez had been sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for bigamy, fraud, and identity theft. His actual wife had moved to another state with their children and changed their names. Leo never thought about Gordon at all. "Dad," Emma said carefully, "there's something I want to ask you." "Ask." "Do you ever regret it? Giving up your military career to try to be a normal father?" Leo considered the question seriously. "I regret the years we lost. I regret that it took a public humiliation for you to see who I really was. But I don't regret trying to give you a normal childhood. Even though it didn't work." "It did work, Emma. You became a strong, intelligent, capable woman. The fact that you were ungrateful for a while doesn't diminish what you accomplished." Emma was quiet for a moment. "I love you, Dad. The real you." "I love you too." Leo's phone buzzed. A text from Carrie. "New contract. High-value target in Eastern Europe. Interested?" Leo looked at his daughter, who was reading the message over his shoulder. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think," Emma said slowly, "that the world needs people like you. People who can do the things that others can't or won't do, even if those things are illegal." "Especially if they're illegal," Emma said firmly. "Some problems can't be solved through official channels." Leo smiled and typed back to Carrie, "Send me the details." As Emma headed out to meet David for lunch, Leo walked to his study and opened a secure filing cabinet. Inside were mementos from his years with Task Force Reaper, photos, commendations, and mission reports that officially didn't exist. But at the front of the collection was something new, a photo from Emma's second wedding reception. Not the elaborate country club disaster, but the small, intimate ceremony she and David had held after returning from Montana. In the photo, Emma was dancing with her father while David watched with obvious approval. She was smiling genuinely, proudly, as she introduced Leo to her military friends as "my father, the war hero." It had taken 22 years, but Leo finally had the family he'd always wanted. A daughter who respected him, a son-in-law who understood him, and a future that held possibilities instead of regrets. The gate guard was gone forever. The shepherd had returned. And for the first time in decades, Leo Jensen was exactly who he was supposed to be. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there. Welcome back to another episode of Infidelity Tales Lab. We're thankful for your continued viewership. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? We love knowing our global reach. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Broken Glass. August Wilson never considered himself lucky until he met Vanessa. The successful architectural firm he built from scratch had consumed his 20s, leaving little room for personal relationships. Then Vanessa Hayes walked into his office, a potential client seeking designs for her new art gallery, and everything changed. Her amber eyes, framed by chestnut hair, captivated him. Her wit and intelligence sealed his fate. Their courtship was swift, passionate. Within a year, they were married, and 9 months later welcomed their daughter, Lily. For 12 years, August believed he had everything: a thriving business, a beautiful wife who had given up her gallery aspirations to raise their family, and Lily, now a perceptive 12-year-old who shared his analytical mind. Then came the crash. August was returning from a business trip when his phone rang. The hospital. Vanessa had been in a serious car accident on a mountain pass outside their lakeside home in Maryland. Her Audi had careened off the road, rolling down an embankment. She'd been found unconscious barely breathing. For 3 weeks, August barely left her hospital room, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed, holding her limp hand. Lily would visit after school, sitting quietly, doing homework, watching her mother's still form. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Brain activity was present, vital signs stable. But Vanessa remained unresponsive, locked in what they called a persistent vegetative state. Dr. Bennett, the neurologist, had been honest with August. Some patients wake up after days, others after years. Some never do. All we can do is wait. So August waited, running his business remotely, caring for Lily, and visiting Vanessa religiously. Their spacious lake house, once filled with laughter and dinner parties, fell silent. August moved mechanically through his days, a man sleepwalking through his own life. It was during this time that he noticed subtle changes in Lily. His once vibrant daughter grew withdrawn, constantly checking her phone. When questioned, she'd claim it was just a friend from school, but August sensed something more. Then came a phone call from Principal Harlow. Lily had been skipping classes. When confronted, she burst into tears but wouldn't explain. August chalked it up to trauma, her way of processing her mother's condition. He arranged for therapy and tried to be more present despite his own grief. One morning, August was reviewing designs in Vanessa's hospital room when Nurse Dominic entered. "There's been some unusual brain activity overnight," he said, studying the monitors. "It could be nothing, but it might indicate increasing awareness." Hope bloomed in August's chest. That evening, he brought Lily to visit. As August stepped out briefly to speak with Dr. Bennett, something happened in the room he would later replay in his mind countless times. When he returned, Lily's face had drained of color. She clutched her phone with white knuckles, staring at her mother with undisguised fear. "Dad," she whispered, grabbing his arm. "Mama's awake. She's faking it." August frowned. "That's impossible." Wordlessly, Lily handed him her phone. On the screen was a text message conversation with an unknown number. "He still doesn't suspect anything. 3 more weeks, then we're free. The insurance payout will be enough to disappear forever." "What about your daughter?" "Collateral damage. August can have her." August felt his world tilt. He looked at the unconscious form of his wife, then back at the messages. "The timestamp, sent yesterday." "She doesn't know. I have her old phone," Lily whispered. "I found it in her studio when I was looking for her insurance card. The passcode was my birthday." August's mind raced. He looked at Vanessa's heart monitor, the steady rhythm suddenly sinister rather than reassuring. He took Lily's hand and left the hospital immediately. Chapter 2. The Spider's Web. The drive home passed in a blur, Lily's revelation echoing in August's mind. He gripped the steering wheel of his Range Rover until his knuckles turned white, fighting to maintain composure for his daughter's sake. "How long have you known?" he finally asked as they pulled into their driveway overlooking Lake Whitewater. 2 weeks, Lily admitted, staring at her hands. "I wasn't sure at first. I noticed Mom's fingers would sometimes twitch when the nurses weren't looking. Then I found the phone." Inside their home, August settled Lily with hot chocolate before retreating to his study. The evidence lay before him. Screenshots of text messages between Vanessa and someone saved in her contacts as are. August's architectural mind, trained to see patterns, to build structures from nothing, began constructing a different kind of blueprint. One of betrayal. He accessed their financial records, discovering unusual withdrawals from their joint account over the past 6 months. Small enough not to raise immediate alarm, but totaling nearly $50,000. Next, he examined Vanessa's laptop. Her password, previously their anniversary date, had been changed. After several attempts, August leaned back, frustrated. Then, on impulse, he tried Raymond, and the screen unlocked. The name hit him like a physical blow. Raymond Voss, his college roommate and best man at their wedding. The godfather to Lily. It had been Raymond who recommended the insurance policy with a substantial payout in case of death or disability. Raymond, who had visited the hospital nearly as often as August himself, offering support, bringing coffee, checking on Lily. August's search history revealed the final pieces. Searches for remote properties in Costa Rica, information on offshore accounts, and a saved email confirming an appointment with a plastic surgeon in Mexico City for 3 weeks later, scheduled for Vanessa Voss. Cold fury replaced shock. August opened a new document and began to type, methodically listing every detail of their deception. Next, he created a second file, his plan. The following morning, August called Raymond from the hospital parking lot. "How's she doing?" Raymond asked, concern evident in his voice. "No change," August replied, injecting weariness into his tone. "Listen, I need a favor. The insurance company is requesting additional documentation. Could you stop by the office later? I'm buried at the hospital." "Of course, anything you need." August ended the call and entered the hospital, not to visit Vanessa, but to speak with Dr. Bennett. Their conversation was brief but productive. Afterward, he spoke with the hospital's security chief, an ex-military man named Floyd Gresham, who had once hired August's firm to design his cabin. That afternoon, August staged a meeting with his company's board, announcing a temporary leave of absence to focus on family matters. His COO, Naomi Prescott, would assume day-to-day operations. "Are you sure?" Naomi asked afterward, concern evident in her sharp features. They'd worked together for 15 years, and she knew him better than most. "I need time," he said simply. "For Lily. For myself." That night, August tucked his daughter into bed, sitting on the edge of her mattress longer than usual. "We need to talk about what happens next," he said gently. "I've made arrangements for you to stay with Aunt Diana for a while." "Dad, no," Lily protested. "It's not permanent," he promised. "But what I'm about to do, you can't be here for it." Lily studied him with eyes too old for her 12 years. "You're going to hurt them, aren't you?" August considered lying, but respected her too much. "Not physically, but they'll wish I had." Lily nodded slowly. "She doesn't deserve to be my mom anymore." And Raymond, he was supposed to protect our family, not destroy it. August kissed her forehead. "Pack for at least 3 weeks. Diana will meet you at the airport tomorrow." After Lily fell asleep, August descended to his basement workshop. Among the architectural models and design supplies, he retrieved a locked metal case. Inside lay items from his past that even Vanessa didn't know about. Documents from his time working on classified government buildings, security credentials, and specialized equipment. Before becoming an architect, August had served 4 years in the Marine Corps, followed by 3 years contracting with security firms that catered to government installations. His architectural success had buried that chapter of his life, but he had never forgotten the skills he'd acquired. By morning, August Wilson had disappeared, replaced by a man with one purpose: retribution. Chapter 3. Eyes Wide Open. Raymond Voss adjusted his Italian silk tie in the elevator mirror, ascending to August's office on the 32nd floor. At 42, Raymond had built a respectable career as an insurance broker, though his lifestyle exceeded his legitimate income, a fact hidden from the world through careful accounting and influential clients. When the doors opened, Naomi greeted him coldly. Their mutual dislike was nothing new. Raymond had always sensed she could see through him. "He's waiting for you," she said, leading him to August's corner office overlooking Baltimore Harbor. August sat behind his desk, uncharacteristically disheveled. "Thanks for coming," he said, voice hoarse. "The papers are here." He pushed a folder across the polished mahogany desk. Raymond scanned the documents, standard insurance forms requiring a counter signature from the policy agent. As he signed, August poured 2 glasses of scotch, sliding one toward his friend. "To better days," August toasted. Raymond's phone buzzed. He glanced down at a text. "Nurse left. Come now." He quickly pocketed the device. "Everything okay?" August asked. "Client emergency," Raymond replied. "Listen, I need to run, but I'll visit Vanessa tonight." "Actually," August said, "I'm having her moved to a private facility in Delaware. The neurologist thinks a specialized treatment might help." Raymond's heart rate accelerated. I didn't realize." "Which facility?" "I'll text you the details," August promised. "They're starting her on experimental treatments tomorrow." After Raymond departed, August remained motionless, replaying the flash of panic in the other man's eyes. In the adjacent room, Floyd Gresham removed his headphones. "Got it all," the security chief confirmed, patting the recording equipment. "And you were right," He's heading to the hospital now. And the tracker? Active. Planted it when I shook his hand. August nodded. Let's go. At Johns Hopkins Hospital, August and Floyd watched from a security monitoring station as Raymond entered Vanessa's room. The hidden camera they'd installed that morning captured everything. Raymond locking the door, approaching the bed, leaning close to whisper in Vanessa's ear. Vanessa's eyes fluttered open. You need to leave, Raymond hissed urgently. August knows something. He's having you transferred tomorrow for treatments. Impossible, Vanessa whispered back, fully alert. He suspects nothing. He mentioned Delaware specifically. That's where we plan to. Coincidence, she cut him off. The money's already transferred. 3 more weeks and the insurance claim processes. We're too close to panic now. What about Lily? She's been acting strange. Vanessa's face hardened. She's a child, and she's August's problem once we're gone. Floyd glanced at August, whose expression remained impassive despite the cruel dismissal of their daughter. We have everything we need, August said quietly. He texted Dr. Bennett, who entered Vanessa's room moments later, interrupting the conspirators' conversation. Vanessa immediately closed her eyes, resuming her comatose performance. Mr. Voss, Dr. Bennett said stiffly. Visiting hours are over. I need to examine the patient. Raymond left reluctantly. Once alone with Vanessa, Dr. Bennett administered a sedative to ensure she remained unconscious, for real this time. That evening, August made 2 calls. The first to his personal attorney, Simone Alvarez, instructing her to prepare specific legal documents. The second to Diana, confirming Lily's arrival arrangements. As midnight approached, August drove to a neglected industrial district where a warehouse bore his company's for renovation sign. Inside, he prepared a space containing only the essentials: surveillance equipment, a desk, a cot, and physical evidence of Vanessa and Raymond's betrayal. On the wall hung architectural blueprints, not for buildings, but for the systematic dismantling of 2 lives. You always told me patience was an architect's greatest virtue, August said to the empty room. Let's see how patient you are, my love. The first phase of his plan was complete. Vanessa and Raymond believed their scheme was intact, unaware that August had already begun constructing their downfall, brick by carefully laid brick. Chapter 4. Foundations of Fear. 3 days after Lily's departure to Diana's home in Seattle, August's plan accelerated. Vanessa remained in the hospital, now under genuine sedation and constant monitoring by staff loyal to Dr. Bennett. The neurologist had been horrified by August's evidence and agreed to keep Vanessa's true condition confidential while August implemented his strategy. Legally, I'm on thin ice, Dr. Bennett had admitted. But what they plan to do to you and your daughter, I couldn't live with myself if I did nothing. Meanwhile, Raymond continued his routine, unaware of the surveillance tracking his every move. August monitored him from the warehouse, logging his patterns. Morning coffee at the same cafe, midday client meetings, evening visits to an upscale apartment building in the Arts District. On the 4th day, August made his first move. He sent an anonymous envelope to Raymond's office containing copies of his text messages with Vanessa. The accompanying note read simply, "Someone knows." That same afternoon, August called Raymond. The transfer fell through, he explained. The facility says Vanessa's condition doesn't meet their acceptance criteria. That's unfortunate, Raymond replied, voice tight. How are you holding up? Managing, August said. Actually, would you check on the house tomorrow? The alarm system triggered. Probably just a power fluctuation, but I can't leave the hospital. Of course. When Raymond arrived at the lake house the following day, he found everything undisturbed, except for a framed photo on the mantel that hadn't been there before. It showed him and Vanessa embracing on a beach in Cancun, a trip August had supposedly known nothing about. Raymond frantically searched for the photo, but left empty-handed, unaware of the cameras recording his panic. Meanwhile, August visited Western Shore Bank, where he and Vanessa kept their safe deposit box, with Simone Alvarez accompanying him. He opened the box to find it emptied of their emergency cash and several pieces of Vanessa's inherited jewelry. The bank manager confirmed Vanessa had accessed the box 6 weeks earlier. We'll need that security footage, Simone stated, producing the necessary legal documents. The video revealed Vanessa and Raymond entering together, her laughing as she emptied the box. August watched impassively, adding the footage to his growing arsenal. That night, August replaced every lock on the lake house. The next morning, Raymond received another envelope at his office, this one containing a key with a note. She trusted you with more than her heart. By the week's end, Raymond was unraveling. He made frantic daily visits to Vanessa, but with a nurse always present, he couldn't communicate freely. His calls to the unknown number on Vanessa's secret phone went unanswered because August now controlled the device. On Sunday, August implemented the next phase. He texted Raymond from Vanessa's secret phone, plan compromised. Move everything to secondary location. I'll make contact when safe. Raymond immediately drove to his apartment building, not to his own unit, but to one registered to a shell company August had discovered through financial forensics. Inside, Raymond frantically packed documents and valuables, unaware of Floyd Gresham photographing everything through a telephoto lens from the building opposite. As Raymond loaded his car, a uniformed police officer approached. August watched from nearby as the officer, actually Floyd's former military colleague, engaged Raymond in conversation, examining his driver's license before letting him go with a warning about illegal parking. We have his alternate identity now, Floyd confirmed later at the warehouse. Samuel Reed, complete with fake driver's license and credit cards. August nodded. Track the accounts. I want to know where every penny is hidden. Floyd hesitated. August, I've seen revenge destroy men. Are you sure about this? August turned to the evidence wall, now expanded to include Raymond's fake identity documents and financial trails. This isn't just revenge, he replied. It's justice. For Lily, for the years they stole from us, for the future they planned to build on our destruction. The next day brought another development. Dr. Bennett called with news that Vanessa was fighting the sedation, becoming increasingly agitated. They couldn't keep her in this state indefinitely without raising questions. It's time for phase 2, August decided. He instructed Dr. Bennett to reduce Vanessa's sedation, allowing her to wake, but not to leave. Hospital security would ensure she remained in the building while August sprang his next trap. When Vanessa regained consciousness, she found herself facing not August, but Simone Alvarez. Mrs. Wilson, the attorney, began crisply. I'm here to inform you that your husband has filed for divorce on grounds of abandonment and premeditated fraud. That's absurd, Vanessa sputtered. I've been in a coma. We both know that's not true, Simone replied, sliding forward printouts of the text messages. What we don't know yet is the full extent of your criminal conspiracy. Until we do, your assets have been frozen by court order. The blood drained from Vanessa's face. I want a lawyer. Excellent idea, Simone agreed. You'll need one. As Simone departed, she nodded to August waiting down the hall. She's rattled, the attorney confirmed. Expect a call to Raymond within the hour. August returned to his surveillance post, watching as Vanessa frantically called Raymond. Their conversation, recorded through both the hospital room microphones and Raymond's tapped phone, confirmed everything. He knows, Vanessa hissed. Not everything, but enough. We need to accelerate. The accounts are locked, Raymond responded. I can't access anything in your names. Use the offshore accounts. I'm trying, but something's wrong. The transfers are being declined. August smiled grimly. Floyd's military connections had proven invaluable, flagging the accounts with international banking authorities for suspected terrorism financing. A temporary measure, but enough to paralyze their funds for crucial days. Within hours, Vanessa checked herself out of the hospital against medical advice. August tracked her to Raymond's apartment, where their frantic conversation revealed the final pieces of their plan. The Costa Rican property purchased under false names, the scheduled plastic surgeries, the fake passports awaiting them in Mexico City. We still have options, Raymond insisted. I have cash reserves. We can disappear now. Without the insurance money? That was the whole point. We're talking about survival now, Vanessa. August isn't the pushover you thought. August closed his laptop, having heard enough. The foundation was laid. Now came the walls of their prison. Chapter 5. Structural Collapse. 1 week into August's orchestrated descent into Raymond and Vanessa's lives, they attempted their first escape. August's surveillance tracked them to Baltimore-Washington International Airport, boarding separate flights, Raymond to Miami, Vanessa to Dallas, with connecting flights to Mexico City. They never reached their destinations. As Raymond waited at his gate, 2 TSA agents approached, requesting he follow them to a private room. His fake passport, under the name Samuel Reed, had triggered a security alert. Hours of questioning followed, his luggage thoroughly searched. Though eventually released, he missed his flight and returned to his apartment shaken. Vanessa fared worse. Her flight was diverted to Atlanta due to mechanical issues, where she was detained by customs officials who claimed her passport showed signs of tampering. By the time she returned to Baltimore, Raymond had received another anonymous message. Every exit has been sealed. August watched their growing desperation from his command center, where Floyd monitored their movements and communications. The legal noose tightened simultaneously. Simone had obtained emergency court orders freezing all discovered assets, pending investigation of potential insurance fraud. They're running out of options, Floyd noted, reviewing surveillance footage of Raymond withdrawing cash from an ATM, his fourth that day, staying under the daily limit. That's the point, Auguste replied. When you corner an animal, it reveals its true nature. That evening, Auguste received a call from a number he didn't recognize. He activated the recording equipment before answering. Auguste, Vanessa's voice, once beloved, now sent ice through his veins. We need to talk. About your miraculous recovery? He replied coldly. Or about your plans with Raymond? A pause. So you know, everything. I doubt that, she said, regaining confidence. Let's meet. Just us. We were married for 12 years. Don't I deserve a chance to explain? August considered his next move carefully. The boathouse. Tomorrow. Noon. After ending the call, Floyd looked concerned. It could be a trap. Undoubtedly, August agreed. But not for me. The following day, August arrived at the lakeside boathouse 30 minutes early, having already prepared the space. Hidden cameras and microphones had been installed, recording devices activated. He waited in the small structure where he and Vanessa had once spent summer afternoons, where Lily had learned to swim. Vanessa arrived precisely at noon, alone. She'd taken care with her appearance, hairstyled, makeup applied, dressed in an outfit August had once complimented. The performance wasn't for his benefit. It was habitual manipulation. Thank you for coming, she began, sitting across from him at the small table. I know how this must look. Do you? August remained expressionless. Enlighten me. Raymond and I. She hesitated. It wasn't planned. It just happened. Like the fake coma? Like the insurance fraud? Like abandoning our daughter? Vanessa's mask slipped momentarily before she recovered. I never meant to hurt Lily. Yet you called her collateral damage. Her eyes widened slightly. Confirmation she recognized her own words. What do you want, August? She asked finally. Money? Is that why you've frozen everything? I want to understand, he replied. When did I lose you? Or was it all a lie from the beginning? The question seemed to catch her off guard. For a moment, genuine emotion crossed her face. The first years were real, she admitted. But you were always working, always building your precious firm. I became another piece of furniture in your perfect house. And Raymond, he saw me, she said simply. He made time for me. August nodded slowly. And the accident? The coma? An opportunity, she replied, cold calculation returning to her eyes. Insurance pays triple for permanent disability. With your power of attorney, I could authorize transfers without suspicion. Eventually, you'd give up hope, move on. Clean, simple. Except for Lily. Vanessa shrugged. You're the better parent anyway. The casual cruelty stunned even August, who thought himself prepared for anything. What now, she asked. You turn us in? Scandal, public humiliation, dragging Lily through it all? Or we make a deal? August leaned forward. What kind of deal? Raymond and I disappear. You get full custody. No messy divorce. No public spectacle. I sign whatever you want. In exchange for? Unfreeze one offshore account. Just one. And give us a head start. August appeared to consider this. then slowly nodded. I'll need account details, and you'll sign the papers today. Relief flooded Vanessa's features. I knew you'd be reasonable. You always were practical. August extracted a document from his briefcase. Divorce papers Simone had prepared, granting him full custody and all assets. Sign, he instructed, offering a pen. Then we'll discuss the account. Vanessa's signature flowed across the paper without hesitation. August folded the document carefully into his briefcase. The account information, she prompted. There's one more thing, August said, removing a second document. A confession. Vanessa's smile vanished. Absolutely not. It's insurance, he explained. If you ever contact Lily or attempt to challenge the divorce, this goes to the police. Her eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. You'd never put Lily through that publicity. Sign it, and we'll never find out. Their standoff lasted nearly a minute before Vanessa snatched the pen, scrawling her name on the confession with barely concealed fury. The account, she demanded. Now, check your phone, August instructed. Her phone chimed with an email notification. She opened it, frowning at the bank statement showing an active account in the Cayman Islands with a substantial balance. This isn't ours, she said. No, August agreed. It's new, untraceable. Your head start as promised. As Vanessa studied the document, August casually mentioned, Raymond should be receiving similar papers from Simone right now. Once he signs, you're both free to go. Vanessa's head snapped up. You sent someone to Raymond? Of course. The deal includes both of you. She stood abruptly. I need to call him. Why? August asked mildly. Don't you trust him to make the right decision? The question hung in the air as Vanessa hurried from the boathouse, already dialing Raymond's number. August gathered the signed documents and exited unhurriedly. In his car, he called Floyd. Is it done? Raymond signed everything, Floyd confirmed. He didn't even read it after I showed him the bank statement. And the tracker? Active in both phones and vehicles. August started his car. Now we wait for them to betray each other. The trap was set. The walls were closing in. All that remained was the roof to complete their prison. Chapter 6. Load-bearing lies. 2 days after the meetings, Raymond and Vanessa made their move. August tracked them to Baltimore Harbor, where they boarded a private yacht registered to one of Raymond's wealthy clients. Their destination, international waters, then a coastal transfer to a larger vessel bound for Venezuela, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. Should we stop them? Floyd asked, monitoring their movement from the warehouse. Not yet, August replied. Let them think they've escaped. He opened his laptop to review the latest report from Simone. The divorce was finalized through expedited channels. His connections and Vanessa's signed confession providing leverage for the judge to bypass normal waiting periods. Lily's custody was secured. All assets transferred solely to August's name. But these legal victories were merely the framework for August's true plan. The confession Vanessa had signed contained more than an admission of insurance fraud. It detailed an elaborate scheme involving blackmail and theft of proprietary architectural designs, implicating Raymond as the mastermind. Similarly, Raymond's signed confession painted Vanessa as the manipulative architect who had seduced him into betraying his best friend, claiming she had previously done the same to wealthy men across 3 states. Neither document would ever reach authorities. Their purpose was far more insidious. At precisely 2 p.m., August activated the final phase. An email sent to Vanessa contained Raymond's confession, along with GPS coordinates for a dead drop containing emergency cash if they became separated. A similar email reached Raymond minutes later, with Vanessa's confession and different coordinates. Through satellite tracking, August watched their vessel's progress halt in the Chesapeake Bay. The yacht circled for nearly an hour, evidence of the heated confrontation occurring on board as the conspirators faced their mutual betrayals. By nightfall, the yacht returned to harbor. Surveillance footage showed Raymond disembarking alone, Vanessa nowhere in sight. August's pulse quickened as he dialed Floyd. She's not with him. Get eyes on the boat immediately. Within the hour, Floyd called back. Coast Guard conducted a random safety inspection. Vanessa wasn't aboard. Raymond claimed she'd changed her mind and taken a tender back to shore earlier. She wouldn't abandon the plan, August mused. Not willingly. The implication hung between them. August made another call, this one to a trusted contact within the Baltimore Police Department. An anonymous tip would point them toward Raymond's yacht, suggesting they bring sonar equipment. While authorities mobilized, August tracked Raymond to his Baltimore apartment, where he frantically packed a single suitcase and emptied his safe. The building's security cameras, accessed through August's connections with the property management company, captured his every desperate move. Raymond's phone rang continuously, calls for Vanessa's phone that went unanswered. August knew the calls weren't actually for Vanessa. They came from a programmed auto dialer he'd set up. Each missed call would increase Raymond's paranoia, especially once he checked the fake bank account August had created. By morning, the promised funds had cleared, showing a balance of $2 million. Raymond immediately attempted a transfer to another account, only to receive an error message. Transaction flagged for security verification. Please contact customer service. The number provided connected to a recording in August's voice. You betrayed the wrong man. You have 24 hours before everything comes to light. Raymond fled the apartment, driving erratically through the city before checking into a motel under his Samuel Reed identity. There, he made a series of increasingly frantic calls to contacts who might provide new documentation, to travel agencies specializing in discreet relocations, even to Vanessa's phone despite believing she had betrayed him. Meanwhile, the police investigation at the harbor intensified. Sonar equipment detected an anomaly near where the yacht had been anchored. Divers prepared to investigate. August watched these developments from his warehouse command center, feeling not satisfaction, but a cold clarity. The structures he designed, both physical buildings and this elaborate trap, always followed the same principle. Remove one key support, and everything collapses. That evening, he received the call he'd been waiting for. The police had found a weighted bag containing women's clothing in the bay. No body, but evidence of a potential crime. Raymond, as the yacht's register operator, was wanted for questioning. August made his final move. He sent simultaneous text messages to Raymond and to Vanessa's phone, which he now controlled. To Raymond, they found her. Run or surrender, your choice. To Vanessa's phone, which Raymond would see trying to call, I trusted you with my life. You'll pay for this. Raymond panicked. He abandoned the motel, driving recklessly toward the Canadian border. State troopers, alerted by August's anonymous tip about a fleeing murder suspect, created a roadblock on Interstate 83. Raymond attempted to evade it, lost control of his vehicle, and crashed into a ravine. He survived with minor injuries, but was taken into custody. Among his possessions, police found a blood-stained scarf identified as Vanessa's, planted in his luggage by August during the boathouse meeting. By midnight, news outlets reported Raymond Voss's arrest in connection with the disappearance of Vanessa Wilson, previously thought to be comatose following a car accident. The sensational story spread rapidly. The best friend, the betrayed husband, the missing wife, the faked coma, the insurance scheme. August watched the media frenzy from his warehouse, expressionless. He closed his laptop, gathered the evidence that would never be needed, and methodically destroyed it all, except for one file containing the real truth, secured for Lily when she was old enough to understand. As dawn broke, August drove to the lake house for the first time in weeks. Inside, he systematically removed every trace of Vanessa, photographs, clothing, personal items, placing them in boxes for storage. Not destruction, but removal. Clinical and complete. In Vanessa's home studio, he paused before her unfinished paintings. Among them stood a family portrait she'd been working on before the accident. August, Vanessa, and Lily on the dock of their lake house, seemingly perfect. He studied it dispassionately before turning it to face the wall. His phone rang. The caller ID showed Dr. Bennett. It's done, the neurologist said without preamble. She's been checked in under the name you provided. The facility understands the situation. Will she be comfortable? August asked. As much as possible, given the circumstances. The isolation ward is secure. Without additional identification or outside contact, she could remain there indefinitely. August ended the call and gazed out at the lake, where early morning mist obscured the horizon. Vanessa wasn't dead. That would have been too merciful. Instead, she was now the patient she had pretended to be, committed to a private psychiatric facility in western Pennsylvania under a Jane Doe status, courtesy of Dr. Bennett's connections. She would experience the true isolation of being trapped in her own body, surrounded by medical staff who believed her claims of being Vanessa Wilson were delusional. The ultimate irony: her fake coma had become a real prison. With Raymond facing murder charges and Vanessa institutionalized, the second act of August's revenge was complete. The foundation had crumbled, the walls had collapsed, and now the structure of their betrayal lay in ruins. August picked up his phone and dialed Diana's number. It was time to bring Lily home. Chapter 7: Clearing the Debris. 3 months after Raymond's arrest, August sat in a sterile conference room at the Maryland State Correctional Facility. Across the table, Raymond, once his closest friend, looked diminished in his orange jumpsuit. His trial for Vanessa's murder was scheduled to begin in 6 weeks. "I didn't kill her," Raymond insisted, desperation evident in his hollow eyes. "You have to believe me, like I believed you with everything else." August replied evenly. "My business, my marriage, my daughter's well-being, I deserve whatever happens to me for that," Raymond admitted. "But I didn't hurt Vanessa. We argued on the boat, yes, but she was alive when I last saw her." August studied him impassively. "The evidence suggests otherwise." "Evidence can be manipulated," Raymond countered. "You know that better than anyone." A subtle acknowledgement passed between them, unspoken recognition that August had orchestrated this downfall with architect's precision. "Why are you here?" Raymond finally asked. August slid a document across the table. "A confession, the real one this time. Sign it, and I'll ensure you serve your sentence in minimum security." Raymond scanned the pages. "This admits everything: the affair, the insurance fraud, the plan to disappear, but not murder. Because you didn't commit that particular crime," August confirmed. "Not technically." Understanding dawned in Raymond's eyes. "She's alive. This isn't mercy," August clarified. "Sign the confession, serve 15 years for fraud and conspiracy, and walk away with your life. Refuse, and the murder evidence becomes more convincing. And Vanessa is experiencing the consequences of her choices," August replied. "As we all must." Raymond signed without further hesitation. Outside the prison, August met with Simone, who took possession of the confession. "This closes the financial case," she confirmed. "The insurance fraud charges alone carry substantial penalties. And the murder investigation? Without a body, it was always circumstantial. With this confession, prosecutors will accept a plea deal for the financial crimes." She studied him carefully. "You never intended for him to be convicted of murder." "Justice, not vengeance," August replied. "Raymond will lose 15 years, approximately what he and Vanessa attempted to steal from Lily and me." As August drove home, he called Diana, who had remained in Baltimore after bringing Lily back. His sister-in-law, technically no longer family but still firmly in his corner, had been invaluable in helping Lily adjust. "How is she today?" he asked. "Better," Diana replied. "She actually laughed during our movie night. First time I've heard that in months." August felt a weight lift slightly. Lily's emotional recovery had become his primary focus. The trauma of her mother's betrayal and apparent death had left deep scars, requiring careful therapy and constant support. At home, August found Lily sitting on the dock, legs dangling above the water. He joined her silently, respecting her space while making his presence available. "Dad," she said eventually, "is it wrong that I don't miss her more?" The question cut through pretense. August considered his response carefully. "Grief isn't linear," he said, "and it's complicated when the person you're grieving isn't who you thought they were. I keep remembering good things, baking cookies, painting together. Then I remember the texts and feel sick." She looked at him directly. "Did you ever suspect?" "Before the accident?" "No," August admitted. "Your mother was skilled at concealment." "Like you?" Lily asked perceptively. August met his daughter's gaze. At 12, she possessed insight beyond her years, partly inherited, partly forged by trauma. "I've never lied to you," he said. "But there are things I haven't shared because I believe they would cause you more pain." "About Mom?" "Yes." Lily absorbed this. "Someday, I want to know everything. Not now, but someday." "When you're ready," August promised, "you'll have the whole truth." They sat in companionable silence as the sun set over the lake. August mentally reviewed his remaining tasks, finalizing Lily's trust fund, restructuring his business to allow more family time, and the quarterly check on Vanessa's continued containment. The foundation of his new life was taking shape, built not on revenge, but on protection and truth. The architect in him recognized that the strongest structures were those designed to weather future storms, not merely survive past ones. That night, August received a call from Floyd Gresham. "There's been an incident at the facility," the security chief reported. "Nothing serious, but she's becoming more insistent about her identity. Started reciting personal details about you and Lily to one of the nurses. Increase monitoring," August instructed. "If necessary, we'll arrange a transfer to the Wyoming location." "August," Floyd said hesitantly, "this can't go on forever. Eventually, someone will listen, investigate. It won't be forever," August assured him. "Just long enough." After ending the call, August opened his safe and removed the file containing the complete truth, evidence of Vanessa's fraud, Raymond's confession, and documentation of August's methodical revenge. Someday this would belong to Lily, allowing her to decide Vanessa's ultimate fate. Until then, August would maintain the illusion that had become reality. Vanessa Wilson had disappeared, presumed dead. Her betrayal had been buried, and her husband, once blindsided by deception, had transformed into the architect of justice. Chapter 8. New Blueprints. 1 year after Vanessa's disappearance, August stood at the front of a small university lecture hall, concluding his guest presentation to architecture students. His firm had not only survived the scandal, but thrived under his renewed focus and Naomi's partnership. They'd recently won the contract for a revolutionary sustainable housing development that had garnered international attention. "Architecture isn't just about buildings," he told the students. "It's about creating spaces that withstand both physical stress and the passage of time. The true test of design is resilience." Among the audience, August noticed a woman with auburn hair observing him intently. As students gathered around him afterward with questions, she waited patiently at the periphery. When the crowd dispersed, she approached. "Powerful words about resilience," she said, from someone who's clearly tested the concept. "Professor Madeleine Rousseau," she continued, offering her hand. "I teach structural engineering here. Your housing project is remarkable. I've been using it as a case study." August shook her hand, experiencing an unexpected moment of connection. "August Wilson, thank you for the invitation to speak. Actually, that was my colleague's doing, but I insisted on attending." Her direct gaze held intelligence and something else, understanding without pity. "Would you be interested in coffee? I have questions about your cantilever design that weren't covered in the lecture." For the first time in months, August felt something shift within him. Not healing exactly, but movement. "I'd like that." Coffee extended to dinner, their conversation flowing from architectural theory to personal philosophy. Madeline had lost her husband to cancer 5 years earlier and raised their son alone while building her academic career. "Grief changes your fundamental structure," she observed. "You either collapse or rebuild stronger at the broken places." August appreciated her directness. There was no need to maintain facades with someone who recognized the architecture of loss. The following week, he invited her to dinner at his home. Lily, now 13, watched their interaction with cautious optimism. After Madeline departed, his daughter offered her assessment. "She's smart, and she doesn't do that annoying head tilt thing when she talks about Mom." August smiled. The sympathy tilt. "Exactly." Lily considered further. "I like that she asks real questions instead of just saying everything will be okay. She understands reconstruction," August said. "Are you going to see her again? Would that be all right with you?" Lily nodded thoughtfully. "Just go slowly. I'm not ready for a new mom." "Neither am I," August assured her. "But maybe we're ready for a friend." As summer arrived, August maintained his careful monitoring of both Raymond's incarceration and Vanessa's containment. Raymond had adjusted to prison life with surprising adaptation, teaching financial literacy to fellow inmates. August arranged for qualified legal representation to ensure his plea deal remained intact, not from compassion, but principle. Vanessa's situation proved more complex. Her insistence on her true identity had intensified, requiring her transfer to a more remote facility in Wyoming that specialized in delusional disorders. There, under the name Jane Harper, she received treatment for her fixed false belief of being Vanessa Wilson. August received monthly reports from the facility director, a former military psychiatrist who understood the unusual arrangement. The substantial payments from an offshore account, traced to Raymond Voss if investigated, ensured discretion and continued care. She's developed a new painting style, the latest report noted. Quite remarkable, dark landscapes with distant figures. The art therapist believes it represents progress in accepting her current reality. August stored these reports in the growing file for Lily. The dossier now included newspaper articles about Raymond's conviction, medical evaluations of Vanessa's mental state, and August's own detailed account of events. Neither justification nor confession, but truth. In late July, August finalized plans for the lake house renovation, his first architectural project solely for himself since before his marriage. The design maintained the structure's bones, while reconfiguring spaces that held too many memories. Madeline reviewed his blueprints one evening on the dock, Lily offering occasional input as they refined details. The easy collaboration felt like another form of rebuilding. "You've eliminated all the hidden spaces," Madeline observed, noting the open floor plan and transparent wall sections. "No place for secrets." "Exactly," August confirmed. As summer transitioned to fall, August received an unexpected call from Raymond's attorney. During a routine prison transfer, Raymond had attempted escape. In the ensuing pursuit, he'd sustained critical injuries. Hospital prognosis: unlikely to survive the night. August drove to the hospital alone, unsure of his own motivations. In the ICU, Raymond lay handcuffed to the bed, machines monitoring his failing body. "You came," Raymond whispered, eyes flickering open as August approached. "Yes, I didn't expect that." August studied the man who had once been his closest friend. "Neither did I." "Is she really alive?" Raymond asked, voice barely audible. August considered lying, but found no purpose in it. "Yes." Relief smoothed Raymond's pain-creased features. "Good. Not because I care about her anymore, but I didn't want to be a murderer." "You are many things, Raymond, but not that." Raymond's breathing grew labored. "Your revenge, it was perfect." The architect's touch. "It wasn't revenge," August corrected. "It was justice." "Is there a difference?" Revenge destroys the avenger. Justice preserves them. Raymond's eyes closed briefly before reopening with effort. "Tell Lily, I'm sorry. For everything." "I will," August promised, though unsure if he would fulfill it. "And August, when does it end?" "The justice." August considered the question. "When the debt is paid." Raymond nodded faintly. "Mine is almost settled then." His eyes drifted shut again. "The perfect design. You always were the better architect." August remained until Raymond's breathing evened into unconsciousness. He left without witnessing the final moments, knowing the structure of their connection had reached its inevitable conclusion. Raymond died at 3:17 a.m. August received notification while sitting in his study, reviewing the Wyoming facility's latest report on Vanessa. With methodical precision, he updated both files. The architecture of his revenge, no, his justice, had withstood every test. One support beam had now been permanently removed. The question remained whether the overall structure required the second to remain in place. That decision, August determined, would eventually belong to Lily. When she was ready for the whole truth, she would inherit both the knowledge and the power to determine Vanessa's fate. Until then, August would continue building their new life. A design focused not on the past shadows, but on the transparent spaces of their future. Chapter 9. The final inspection. 5 years after Vanessa's disappearance, August stood in the renovated living room of the lake house, surveying the gathered guests. His firm had just won the prestigious Pritzker Architecture Prize for the Sustainable Community Development, now widely studied as a model for future urban planning. The celebration was intimate. Key team members, close friends, and family. Lily, now 17, moved confidently among the guests. Her recent acceptance to Cornell's architecture program a source of quiet pride for August. Diana chatted with colleagues near the fireplace, while Madeline, now a permanent fixture in their lives though they maintained separate residences, discussed structural innovations with Naomi. As conversations flowed around him, August's phone vibrated with a text from Floyd Gresham. Wyoming report arrived. Status unchanged. Call when convenient. August acknowledged the message, but didn't allow it to disturb his present. The Wyoming facility where Vanessa remained had become a distant satellite in his consciousness, monitored but no longer central. Later that evening, as guests departed, Lily joined August on the rebuilt dock extending over the lake. The structure was stronger than its predecessor, designed to withstand harsher weather while appearing deceptively delicate, much like the young woman herself. "I want the file," Lily said without preamble. "The one you've been keeping. About Mom." Though startled by the timing, August had anticipated this moment. "You're sure?" "I'm leaving for college in 2 months," she replied. "I need to know everything before I go, to decide what to do." August studied his daughter's profile, the determined set of her jaw reminiscent of his own. "It's comprehensive and difficult. I know. I've had 5 years to prepare." They sat in silence as darkness settled over the water. Finally, August nodded. "Tomorrow morning." The following day, August unlocked his office safe and removed the extensive file he'd maintained since the beginning. It contained everything: the original text messages, medical reports, surveillance transcripts, financial records, Raymond's confession, and detailed documentation of August's orchestrated justice. Most importantly, it contained the current location and status of Vanessa Wilson, now known as Jane Harper, at the Wyoming psychiatric facility where she continued to receive treatment for her delusional identity disorder. August placed the file on the table between them in Lily's personal studio, a space he'd included in the lake house renovation for her burgeoning architectural talents. "Take whatever time you need," he said. "I'll be in my office when you're ready to talk." Hours passed as Lily absorbed the complete truth. August waited, reviewing designs for his next project, a memorial center for victims of fraud and deception. The irony wasn't lost on him. When Lily finally appeared in his doorway, her eyes were clear despite evident tears. "You never told me you visited her," she said, holding a report from 2 years earlier documenting August's sole visit to the Wyoming facility. "It wasn't relevant to your decision," he replied honestly. "What was she like?" August considered his response carefully. Diminished, still insisting on her true identity, but her conviction had weakened. The staff reported she'd begun incorporating elements of her Jane Harper identity into her self-perception. "A fractured foundation," Lily murmured, the architectural metaphor natural to them both. "Yes." Lily settled into the chair across from him. "Did she ask about me?" "She did. I told her you were thriving." "Was that the truth?" "By then, yes." August met his daughter's searching gaze. "You survived her betrayal. Then you thrived despite it." Lily nodded, processing this. "The file says I have the authority to determine her status once I turn 18. "That's correct. The trust one established gives you legal control over the Wyoming arrangement on your 18th birthday. You can maintain it, modify it, or terminate it entirely. And if I terminate it, she will be released. The trust includes provisions for her reintegration, modest housing, basic income, new identification documents. She could rebuild a life, though not with her former identity. Or I could leave her there indefinitely," Lily stated, testing the weight of this power. "You could," August acknowledged, "though I wouldn't recommend carrying that burden forever." Lily studied him with a perceptiveness that had only sharpened with age. "You never intended her punishment to be permanent, did you? Despite everything she did." I intended justice, not eternal damnation, August replied. The specific duration was always meant to be your decision. Because she hurt me most of all. Because you deserved agency in the resolution. Lily fell silent, considering this. Finally, she asked, "What would you do if it were solely your decision?" After 5 years of reflection, August leaned back in his chair. "I would release her, but with conditions. No contact with either of us. Permanent relocation at least 1,000 miles from here. Financial support contingent on continued therapy. Mercy within boundaries," Lily observed. "Justice with closure," August corrected. "Continuing her confinement serves no purpose beyond vengeance, which corrodes the soul of the avenger. You deserve freedom from that burden." "When did you reach this conclusion?" "Gradually. Definitely after Raymond's death." August paused. "Building is more fulfilling than destroying, even when destruction is deserved." Lily gathered the file carefully. "I need more time to decide. You have until your birthday. No pressure either way." As she turned to leave, she hesitated. "Dad, was any of it real? Her love for us?" August considered the complexity of this question, one he'd examined countless times himself. "I believe the early years were genuine," he said finally, "before discontent corrupted her. Some foundations are sound, but can't support what's built upon them. Like your marriage." "Yes." Lily nodded, satisfied with this architectural truth, if not comforted by it. 3 months later, August helped move Lily into her Cornell dormitory. As they said goodbye, she pressed an envelope into his hand. "My decision," she explained. "I've had it drawn up legally, as specified in the trust documents." August didn't open it until he returned home. Inside, he found detailed instructions. Vanessa would be released on Lily's 18th birthday, with the conditions August had suggested, plus one addition, a letter Lily had written explaining her decision. "I choose this not because you deserve freedom," the letter concluded, "but because I deserve peace. This isn't forgiveness, it's closure. Never contact us. Never attempt to explain or apologize. Consider this mercy your final gift from the family you discarded." August placed the document in his safe, recognition settling within him. His daughter had chosen resilience over resentment, construction over destruction. The architectural principle applied to emotional recovery. 1 month later, on Lily's 18th birthday, August received confirmation that Vanessa had been released from the Wyoming facility. The detailed termination report included her final psychological evaluation, still showing persistent identity confusion, but deemed functional for supervised reintegration. She had been transported to Portland, Oregon, provided with an apartment lease, basic furnishings, and 6 months of financial support. The trust would continue minimal payments contingent on her maintaining therapy and respecting the no-contact order. Her final statement to the facility director had been recorded. "Tell them I understand now." The price of betrayal. That evening, August and Lily shared a video call. She from her dormitory, he from his lake house office. "It's done," he confirmed. Lily nodded. "Good. Now we can both focus on building rather than remembering." The architect's perspective, August noted with pride. "I learned from a best.